We're just 6 weeks away from Israel's fourth national election in 2 years. Welcome to NIF's 2021 Israeli election preview. Having failed to pass a national budget, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu got to go straight to elections without honouring his rotation agreement with Defence Minister Benny Gantz. So having lasted less than 250 days, the so-called National Unity Government was broken up, the Knesset was dissolved, and Israel's heading to the polls once again. We're going to keep you updated on what's happening in Israeli politics over the next few weeks, but in this video, we wanted to give you a quick overview of where we are now and what we know so far. Let's start with who's running and who isn't. The party lists were finalised just a few days ago, with 39 parties registering for the race, but realistically only a dozen or so will actually make it through. We'll start with Gantz, Netanyahu's main opponent through 2019 and 2020, who was supposed to be the alternative prime minister. His blue and white party, with former finance minister Yair Lapid and former defence minister Moshe Ya'alon, vowed never to serve in a government led by Bibi. But tired from 3 election campaigns and claiming to want unity at the start of the pandemic, Gantz gave in and formed a rotation agreement, splintering his party in the process and leaving Lapid and Ya'alon in the opposition. Blue and white has been in freefall ever since, with its voters disappointed that Gantz broke his campaign's core promise not to join a Netanyahu-led coalition. It's not surprising that most polls today show the party barely crossing the minimum 3.25% threshold. Most of his Knesset members have fled, either to rival parties or retired from politics altogether. In the last election, the combined blue and white party got 31 seats. Now, what was Gantz's half will be lucky to be in the Knesset at all. The other major split is with the Joint Arab List. Having run as a combination of the 4 major Arab parties in the last 2 elections, the Islamist party Ra'am is breaking away for this election. They exist in an interesting political space. Their leader, Mansour Abbas, has become an unlikely ally for Benjamin Netanyahu and other members of the Jewish right. It makes sense in a way. Ra'am voters are more conservative on social issues, like feminism and LGBT rights, perhaps making them a natural partner. But on the other hand, those new allies have been among the leaders of the incitement campaign against Palestinian Israelis, with the new partnership raising the ire of other Arab leaders in Israel, including head of the Joint List Ayman Odeh. Ra'am is currently polling under the threshold, so it will be interesting to see whether they even make it into the Knesset at all. Another split is in the right-wing camp, with former senior Likud minister Gideon Sa'ar breaking away from Netanyahu and forming a new party, the New Hope, a name, by the way, which bemused many Israeli Star Wars fans when it was announced. Sa'ar has been seen as Netanyahu's main rival for a long time now, and even ran against Netanyahu in the party's primary 2 years ago. In many ways, Sa'ar is perhaps more right-wing than Netanyahu. For example, he even opposed Trump's plan for the Middle East for being too generous to the Palestinians. Sa'ar has managed to get defectors from Netanyahu's Likud and from Gantz's Blue and White to join him and is riding high in the polls, coming in as the second or third largest party with about 14 seats. So far, he's leading the non-Netanyahu right-wing bloc, with the Yamina party, led by Naftali Bennett, another former Netanyahu loyalist, polling at about 11 seats. The other big development on the right is the inclusion of the extremist, racist Kahanis party led by Itamar Ben-Gvir. For decades, Kahanis weren't given the time of day by the political mainstream. When Kahana himself was briefly a Knesset member in the 1980s, each time he rose to speak, the Knesset hall would clear, because no one wanted to be seen to legitimize his beyond-the-pale views. But in the last few years, Netanyahu has pressured other right-wing parties to include them in their coalitions to make sure they cross the electoral threshold and don't waste right-wing votes. This time they're running with the religious Zionist party, led by Bezalel Smotrich, and look like they'll make it into the Knesset again. On the left, the Labour Party seemed to be on death's door after they also backtracked on a promise never to join a Netanyahu government. But ever since, Knesset member Merav Michaeli pledged to be a thorn in leader Amir Peretz's side, refusing to join the government with him and promising to do everything she could to reverse it. She finally got her way by winning the leadership just a few weeks ago and swiftly withdrew from the government. Peretz, by the way, resigned from the Labour Party so he could continue as Minister of Economy and even announced he'd be running to be the President of Israel. Under Michaeli, Labour's fortunes may bounce back. Everyone seemed convinced they wouldn't get the votes to cross the threshold, but this week has them stable on about 4 or 5 seats, with one poll even showing them as high as 8. It's still a far cry from the early days of the state, of course, but shows there may well be a future for Labour under Michaeli. We'll continue to cover the personalities and the polls over the next few weeks, but we also wanted to share a quick snapshot about just one of the issues that the electorate is talking about: coronavirus and the ultra-Orthodox community. Even though Netanyahu is hoping that Israel's breakneck pace in its vaccination plan will patch over the reality that the virus death toll stands at more than 5,000, it's possible that the election will still be decided on the back of his performance managing the pandemic itself. Frustration is high as the reality of tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox men flouting lockdown restrictions by attending funerals without masks washed over the country. The fact that police stood by and allowed Haredi men to stream into the streets has frustrated the rest of Israeli society, because all the while Ben Gurion Airport remains closed and the virus is totally out of control. Netanyahu, though, needs the roughly 15 loyal seats of the ultra-Orthodox Knesset members to have any chance to govern after March's election. He knows that cracking down on anything in the Haredi community, including dangerous mass gatherings, will just risk angering his most important political allies. That's where we're going to wrap it for now. Make sure you stay tuned to our social media pages for regular updates and the stories that are making news in Israel. We'll be back with another video before you know it. So for now, stay safe and thanks for watching.